Today is a very good day because I get to show you a first look at Horde Siege mode in Gears of War E-Day. Thanks to the Coalition for letting us take the game for a spin on Xbox Series X, and what you're going to see in this video is our own capture of what you can expect in the upcoming Gears of War E-Day beta, and more on that in a sec. A lot of existing players are wondering what real changes Horde Siege brings to the Horde mode that they know and love, which we'll cover in this video, as well as some reasons why those of you fresh to Gears should definitely pay attention to Gears of War E-Day when it launches on October 6th, day 1 on Game Pass Ultimate and PC Game Pass. For the uninitiated, Horde mode has been a staple since Gears of War 2 back in 2008, and quickly cemented itself as the definitive Gears experience. 5 players drop onto a labyrinthian map and are tasked with surviving up to 50 waves of increasingly more potent enemies. It was brutal, it was bloody, and it definitely helped forge some of Xbox's toughest gamers out there. Horde Siege intends to bring a different flavour of that same Moorish wave-based tactical mayhem, with a vastly larger map and 3 squads of 4 players that will square up against the Locust invaders. The map being larger, it only makes sense that there are specific objectives for you and your squad to go and complete, resulting in you being able to extract on a turret-mounted chopper and escape with your rewards. Secondary objectives populate the map too, offering chances at upgrading your squad throughout the course of the mission, giving you the edge in late-stage gunfights and ensuring that you can make it out alive, but we'll cover some of that once we're in the map. Each game kicks off with you picking which of the 4 available character classes you'd like to deploy with. Assault, your all-round soldier. Breacher, helping push through the front lines of enemies. Marksman, your ranged support class. And Medic, ensuring that the squad stays alive when all hell breaks loose. Squads can be built of any combination of these classes, so if you become particularly attached to playing Breacher and someone else in your squad has also picked that class, there's no need to swap to something else. For our first ever game of Horde Siege, we actually deployed with 3 assaults and 1 breacher, which I thought might have ended up in a severely unbalanced team with some weak points, but was surprisingly manageable on the initial difficulty level. On more hardcore difficulties, I imagine this could become an issue, and you'd likely want a more rounded team build, but we didn't quite have the time to test that out on this occasion. At first, your class will have a basic loadout, equipped with some on-flavour weapons and equipment that suits the role that you're supposed to fill. As I was just maining an assault for this little preview, I became pretty familiar with the prototype Lancer, which is a rifle with a chainsaw attached, and yes, get used to Gears being that badass. One of the truly personal aspects of Horde Siege that I love, however, is the fluidity you get with your class setup. Weapons can be swapped in and out before you deploy, so if you felt like your assault class benefits from running a Nasher shotgun instead of a Lancer, well, you're free to do so. Not only that, but as you level up your weaponry and earn more rewards from completing Horde Siege runs, you're going to earn weapon parts that can then be exchanged for new mods to enhance the performance of your guns. The prototype Lancer comes equipped with 1 mod slot filled already with the Full Metal Jacket mod, which grants bonus perfect ammo damage which you can earn with a perfect reload. But I also spotted that there were mods that could improve your magazine, your stock, your barrels, your scopes, and more. And the selection of mods on offer are so vast, so I'm not going to run through all of them, but there are 4 slots in total to swap in and out the mods of your preference however you see fit, provided that you have earned enough weapon parts to A, purchase the mods, and B, unlock the extra slots to put them in. Basically, the more you play and win, the stronger your classes become. But best of all though is that the weapon and mod unlocks are global, meaning that if you fancy slapping your fully upgraded Lancer onto another class, you don't need to re-earn those mods or mod slot unlocks all over again. It's a really nice sign of respecting our efforts and our time. As you play more of a class, they level up, unlocking new weapons and equipment for you to choose to deploy with. Not only that, but major level milestones will also unlock permanent base stat boosts to that class, which help cover things like health, damage, and cover damage, so that helps you tackle those stronger enemies on much tougher difficulties. So progression and customization seem pretty extensive and pretty exciting from this early look, and it certainly is a well-earned reward for the hours that you'll be spending in the mode, but what about the gameplay? So those 3 squads are dropped into different spawn points at the beginning of a game, and instantly the impressive lighting effects just really help cast deep shadows on what already looked to be a massive map for Gears. In the top left of the UI, a handy round tracker helps you understand how many main objectives are required to trigger the extraction, giving you a sense of the scale of the challenge that you're about to face. If you bring up the map, it then highlights your secondary objectives that you can also tackle, which I would highly recommend going straight for, as the rewards on offer are key to your survival, and especially so in higher difficulties, I bet. Honestly, the secondary objectives quickly became some of my favourite activities to do, not necessarily because of the rewards, but just for the utterly bonkers gameplay that could develop out of them. Every squad can partake in these objectives, meaning you can sometimes have an enormous amount of players clustered in one area just trying to complete these varied tasks. I mean, the bullets, they just fly thick and fast, and the sound design just really immerses you in an all-out war zone. It's just beautiful. Side objectives are randomised and include things like bomb defusals, closing E-holes, collecting COG intel, and even tracking down high-value targets. Seeing 6 to 8 players all trying to nail down an area defence in this little courtyard is absolute chaos, and I'm very much here for it. Completing a secondary objective earns your squad some weapon parts for upgrading your equipment later on, as well as a squad perk for the remainder of the match. Now, these are randomised, and they offer universal buffs to your squad and to your squad alone, with 3 squad perk slots available to fill with those side objectives. So we found some like Express Revives, Stimergy, and Recoil Reduction on offer, so if you want the strongest squad for the final fight, make sure to do at least 3 side objectives. The other aspect of your squad to bear in mind though is then upgrading those squad perks as the game progresses. You probably noticed these little shining gold chits on the ground that enemies have been dropping, and they're actually called energy. You use this energy to upgrade your squad perks to higher levels, netting you a stronger benefit when compared to the base level 1 perk. And all of this can be done at supply caches, which are dotted around the map and also act as a space where you can swap out your equipment mid-game or purchase ammo if you're running low, although you'll find plenty on the ground as well, so don't worry about it. Now, at one point in a match, we also found a legendary squad perk called Tactical Cooldown, which brings me to one part of the squad loadout that I haven't quite touched on yet, and that's tactical gear, and it's what truly defines your class from one another, and you can think of it like an ultimate ability. The Assault features the Sonic Disruptor, a powerful burst of energy that fires in a forward cone, stunning drones and also disrupting enemy attacks. And just like your weapons, tactical gear can also be modded to suit your playstyle, offering even more depth to the customization. The Tactical Cooldown Legendary perk, as you could probably imagine, reduces the cooldown time for the tactical gear to recharge, making it a particularly useful upgrade when I felt under pressure by just swathes of enemies, which definitely was the case as we hurtled towards our primary objective on this map. These main objectives serve as, that nod to the classic Horde mode we know and love, and are actually unique objectives for each squad. So while you're working together to build up your squad's powers on secondary objectives, you're going to still need to play as a close-knit team of 4 to actually finish the match and get out safe. Again, these main objectives will vary from match to match. Sometimes we need to capture a location and set up a supply cache within a bistro before then trying to survive against waves of enemies. Other times it could involve just protecting a point from being destroyed by the Locust, with the option to use our energy to repair the equipment when it got too battered. In either case, the map design becomes way more isolated and a bit more familiar to that old school Horde gameplay. The specific location that you fight in feels just like a bit of a slice of Horde that sits naturally within this new, larger play space with cover and firing lanes in abundance to just give you somewhat of an edge. We found a lot of success purchasing the spike traps and the razor mines in between waves to shore up the front line, and also just give us easier kills as the Locust enemies got closer to us. And above all though, you're going to want to make sure that you level up enough to unlock frag grenades, because these are vital in closing down emergence holes, which are basically little spawn points that enemies will continuously pour out from if you're not dealing with them. Oh, and the Troika turret you can build for a nominal amount of energy isn't too shabby either, and can even be torn off its stand and then carried around as a heavy weapon, turning you into a walking flurry of bullets. I think my favourite weapon of the bunch actually came from picking up an enemy gun and realising how disgustingly brilliant it is at dispatching the hordes. It's called the Emulsion Shotgun, and it packs a serious wallop and is especially effective while hip firing, giving you the ability to turn on a swivel and often just one-shot some unsuspecting goons. Plus, it just looks excellent seeing them bubble up and ooze into a gross goop. Ugh. It isn't all easy street though, as invasion events can pop up during your wave-based combat to distract and challenge you to some of the toughest activities out there. At one point, an immense rumble signalled the arrival of a Corpser, which was this enormous spider-like titan of an enemy that prompted all of our squads to attempt to take it down while still trying to balance our primary objective. And sure, we could have left it alone, but while the Corpser was still alive, every squad suffered from a debuff that actually prevented perfect reloads, and we're having none of that. It was during this fight that I came to learn why jumping would be an interesting new addition to the player's toolkit. It's not just for clearing gaps, but it's even used for defense, because the Corpser would occasionally slam the ground, sending forth this shockwave that would knock you on your ass if you didn't hurdle it in time, and plus it hurt a lot. Despite the chaos, our squad perks and tidy teamwork and prep helped us see out the 10 waves we faced up against, and before long it was time to call in the chopper and get the hell out of there. During this window, you simply have to survive and just clear the landing zone as oppressive waves of tough enemies come at you with everything they've got. But once you're clear and aboard that bird, you can have some fun of your own, with each squad member getting their own turret to fire back at the monsters. It is worth noting though that it is entirely possible to miss the exfil, so don't be late. A successful exfil reaps the rewards of the weapon parts that you've collected throughout the match, as well as some well-earned experience towards your class level and your global player level. Now, like I mentioned earlier, these will progress the available weapons and equipment slots available to your character, which is something that you can always keep track of by checking out the next available unlocks for your class. Before long, your squad is powered up and ready and raring to go in for another fight. And then you can pick from the 3 available modes for Horde Siege, such as Blitz for shorter missions when you're a bit short on time, Siege for the standard length, and Horde for the full shebang. Our longest game that we played was on Horde, and it took us about 45 minutes to complete on the initial difficulty. We got to tackle 4 secondary objectives, that Corpser event, and 10 waves of Horde before the final extract. All in all, it makes me want to play even more during the upcoming open beta weekends, which does indeed have its own rewards on offer for players who manage to put some time into it. So don't miss out on the open beta early access weekend beginning from August 6th for those who pre-order Gears of War E-Day, or for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate and PC Game Pass subscribers. I hope you enjoyed this early look at the brand new Horde Siege mode in Gears of War E-Day, and of course, get subscribed to Xbox On for more early looks at all of the best games on Xbox. Bye!